In a world where everyone's chasing attention, the man who chooses silence becomes unstoppable. He doesn't need to be seen to be powerful. His actions speak louder than any post ever could. If you're ready to master your peace, protect your purpose, and live with quiet strength, this message is for you. Subscribe to Reset Psychology for more deep mindset talks, powerful truths, and life-changing perspectives. Build in silence. Move with purpose. Let your results make the noise. In a world where everyone is talking, posting, and performing for an invisible audience, silence becomes the rarest form of strength. Men who keep their lives off social media understand this deeply. They know that silence isn't emptiness, it's focus. In today's culture, being quiet is almost seen as suspicious. If you're not constantly updating, posting selfies, or sharing highlights, people assume something's wrong. But the truth is, the men who choose to stay silent are often the ones who are most secure within themselves. They don't need to announce their every move or prove their progress to the world. Their silence is not a lack of confidence, it's evidence of it. Think about it. We live in a time when everyone is desperate to be noticed. Every post is a subtle request for validation. Look at me, notice me, approve of me. But when a man chooses to live outside that system, he's rejecting the game altogether. He's saying, I don't need to be seen to know my worth. That mindset is powerful because it shifts control from the outside world back to the self. A man who doesn't crave attention is free from the emotional roller coaster that comes with online approval. He's not chasing likes. He's chasing purpose. Silence also protects peace. When you're constantly online, your mind never rests. You're absorbing other people's opinions, problems, and comparisons all day long. Over time, it drains your energy and clouds your focus. But a man who stays silent, who guards his space, can think clearly. He's not distracted by noise. His energy isn't scattered across arguments or trends that don't matter. That's why such men often seem calm and grounded. They're not plugged into the chaos of constant exposure. Their silence also creates mystery, and mystery creates respect. When people can't read you, they're forced to wonder about you. That curiosity builds quiet authority. The loudest person in the room might get attention, but the quiet one usually gets respect. Why? Because silence suggests control. It tells the world that you don't need to speak to prove yourself. You let your presence, your actions, and your discipline speak for you. Men who live this way also understand that peace is fragile and attention can destroy it. The more people know about your life, the more opinions, judgments, and expectations you invite. That's why silence is power. It gives you the freedom to live on your terms, without interference or performance. It allows you to build privately, to fail privately, and to succeed quietly. So when a man chooses silence, he's not running away from the world. He's choosing mastery over it. He's saying no to the addiction of validation and yes to the strength of self-control. In a generation addicted to noise, his silence speaks volumes. It says, I know who I am. I don't need to tell you. I'm too focused on becoming. Confidence that comes from within is one of the rarest and strongest forms of power a man can have. Men who keep their lives off social media often understand this better than anyone else. Their sense of worth doesn't depend on likes, followers, or comments. They don't need an audience to feel important because they've already built an unshakable foundation within themselves. True confidence isn't loud. It's steady, quiet, and deeply rooted in self-awareness. These men don't rely on the outside world to tell them who they are. They already know. Social media has created a culture where validation equals value. People measure success through numbers on a screen, where attention is often mistaken for admiration. But genuine confidence doesn't need to be displayed. It's something you carry with you everywhere, even in silence. The man who doesn't post about his achievements isn't insecure. He simply doesn't need to prove anything. His fulfillment comes from progress, not praise. He celebrates his victories privately because the satisfaction of achieving them is enough. He knows that validation from strangers doesn't build character. It only feeds ego, and ego is fragile. Confidence built on external validation is temporary. One negative comment, one ignored post, one comparison can shatter it. But inner confidence? That's unbreakable because it's earned through experience, discipline, and self-respect. These men understand that their worth isn't dependent on being seen. It's defined by what they do when no one is watching. They focus on becoming better, not appearing better. That's what separates authentic men from those performing for approval. There's also a quiet dignity in not seeking attention. It takes strength to live in a world where everyone is shouting and still choose to whisper. These men find power in privacy because they're not trying to keep up with anyone. They don't care who's watching. They care about what they're building. When a man stops needing external applause, he becomes unstoppable. His energy isn't wasted trying to impress others. It's invested in improving himself, his craft, and his life. That's why true confidence doesn't make noise. It creates results. Another thing about men with inner confidence is that they understand the value of authenticity. They don't hide behind filters, fake smiles, or curated versions of life. They embrace who they are, flaws, struggles, and all. They know real growth comes from facing yourself honestly, not performing for acceptance. Their self-assurance allows them to move through the world without needing to justify or explain themselves. That kind of peace comes only from knowing your worth without needing proof. At its core, confidence from within is freedom. Freedom from comparison, from insecurity, from the endless need to be liked. It's the power to live life on your own terms, regardless of who's watching. And that's what makes these men stand out. They're not trying to be admired, they're trying to be real. They've learned that self-belief isn't built online, it's built in silence, through actions that no one sees but everyone eventually feels. Focus is one of the most underrated qualities in today's world. Most people are constantly distracted, scrolling, reacting, comparing, and chasing attention that adds no real value to their lives. But men who keep their lives off social media operate differently. They understand that focus is currency, and where your attention goes, your life follows. While others are caught up documenting every moment, these men are busy living those moments fully. They don't need to prove they're working. They're actually working. Every post they skip, every scroll they avoid, becomes time invested in their growth, their craft, and their peace. Social media has a way of stealing focus without you even realizing it. You open an app for a few minutes and lose an hour in the endless noise of other people's lives. You start comparing your journey to someone else's highlight reel, and suddenly your own progress feels small. But the man who steps away from that cycle understands the power of mental clarity. He knows that success doesn't come from watching others. It comes from staying locked in on his own mission. His mind isn't cluttered with comparisons or opinions. It's focused on execution. These men are not easily distracted because they understand the cost of attention. Every time you allow the digital world to pull you in, you lose a piece of your direction. They know that true growth requires isolation, and isolation requires discipline. While others chase visibility, they chase mastery. And mastery takes quiet, consistent effort, the kind you can't broadcast every day. Their silence online isn't disinterest, it's focus. It's choosing progress over performance. When you're not constantly seeking validation, you gain back something precious: time. Time to think, plan, reflect, and act. Men who live off social media use that time to strengthen their mindset, learn new skills, and build the kind of life that doesn't need to be advertised. They don't talk about what they're going to do, they just do it. And when results come, they speak louder than any post ever could. Focus also brings peace. The online world thrives on chaos, arguments, trends, outrage, and opinions. But when a man disconnects from that noise, he starts hearing his own thoughts more clearly. He becomes grounded, calm, and intentional. He doesn't react to everything. He responds with purpose. That's why focused men move differently. They're not being pulled in 100 directions. They know what they want, and they give their energy only to what matters. There's real strength in being unavailable to distraction. It means you're prioritizing your future over temporary dopamine. These men don't chase validation, they chase victory. They understand that success is quiet and progress rarely comes with applause. They live by one simple truth: every minute wasted on noise is a minute stolen from greatness. And that's why their silence isn't absence. It's concentration. They're not ignoring the world, they're mastering theirs. Emotional control is one of the strongest signs of maturity, and men who keep their lives off social media often possess this rare quality. They understand that in a world driven by reactions, the ability to stay calm, composed, and centered is a superpower. Social media thrives on emotion. It feeds on anger, envy, validation, and insecurity. Every post, comment, or argument is designed to provoke a response, to keep you engaged and distracted. But the man who chooses not to participate in that emotional tug-of-war takes back his power. He's not easily influenced, provoked, or manipulated because his peace isn't tied to a screen full of opinions. Men who live privately know that emotional discipline is more valuable than attention. When you're constantly exposed to other people's lives, thoughts, and emotions, you start losing track of your own. You begin to feel emotions that aren't even yours. Jealousy from comparison, frustration from arguments, emptiness from seeking validation. But when a man chooses to step away, he reclaims his emotional space. He decides what deserves his energy and what doesn't. He doesn't let likes or comments dictate his mood. He doesn't let public opinion shape his identity. He remains in control of his emotional state. And that's what keeps him grounded and strong. Emotional control also means not reacting to every situation. In the online world, people are quick to respond to criticism or drama. But the man who knows his worth doesn't waste energy proving himself. He understands that silence can be the most powerful response. He doesn't argue with ignorance, and he doesn't seek to win temporary battles for attention. His calmness confuses people who expect emotional reactions. They can't figure him out because he doesn't operate on impulse. He operates with intention. That's what gives him presence and power. Another aspect of emotional control is self-awareness. These men know their triggers, their weaknesses, and their boundaries. They don't need to display their emotions publicly to feel validated. They process them privately, with reflection and discipline. This doesn't mean they're emotionless. It means they're emotionally intelligent. They know when to speak, when to walk away, and when to protect their peace. That emotional maturity separates them from the noise of the world. When a man isn't emotionally reactive, he becomes unshakable. Trends don't sway him. Opinions don't move him. He's driven by values, not vibes. That stability attracts respect because it's rare in a time when everyone's emotions are controlled by algorithms. While others chase temporary feelings of validation, he chases long-term peace. In the end, emotional control isn't about suppressing feelings. It's about mastering them. It's about understanding that not every thought deserves attention and not every emotion deserves action. The man who lives off social media has learned this truth. The moment you control your emotions, no one else can control you. And that quiet power is what sets him apart in a world that's addicted to reaction. Privacy has become a form of luxury in today's world, and men who protect theirs understand its true value. We live in a culture where oversharing is the norm. People post every detail of their lives, from their relationships to their goals to their struggles, often without realizing the cost. But the man who chooses to stay private knows that not everything sacred should be seen. He understands that privacy isn't about hiding, it's about protecting what matters. It's about building a life so strong and meaningful that it doesn't need to be validated by the crowd. His private life is his power because it's the one thing no one else can touch, judge, or manipulate. When you keep your life private, you keep control. The fewer people know about your next move, the harder it is for them to interfere or undermine it. Men who value privacy don't announce every plan or achievement because they know real success doesn't need a public stage. They prefer peace over praise. They don't need everyone's opinion because they've learned that most people don't want to see you win. They just want to know what you're doing. By keeping their goals and personal life to themselves, they move without noise, without competition, and without unnecessary pressure. Their silence allows them to make decisions with clarity, free from the influence of outsiders. Privacy also protects energy. Constantly updating the world drains your emotional strength because every post invites opinions, judgments, and even envy. A man who keeps his circle small and his personal life off social media avoids that chaos. He doesn't need to defend his choices or explain his actions. He lives peacefully, unbothered by external noise, because he's learned that not everyone deserves access to his mind or emotions. In his world, privacy equals power, and that power is peace. Another reason men value privacy is because it gives them the freedom to be authentic. When your life isn't under public scrutiny, you can grow, make mistakes, and evolve without fear of judgment. You're not performing for approval, you're living for truth. These men understand that growth is personal and not everything should be broadcasted. The world doesn't need to see the process. It will see the results when the time is right. That's what makes them unpredictable and respected. They move in silence, but their results make the noise for them. In a time where everyone's addicted to being seen, a private man stands out by being untouchable. His life feels solid, mysterious, and self-contained. People wonder what he's doing, how he's doing it, and why he doesn't need attention. And that's exactly how he likes it. Because when people can't read you, they can't control you. Privacy is not isolation, it's intelligence. It's the decision to protect your peace, your plans, and your power. And that decision separates those who seek attention from those who build legacy. Being intentional in a world that thrives on impulsiveness is a rare strength. Men who keep their lives off social media are not disconnected, they're deliberate. They understand that using social media isn't the problem. Being consumed by it is. These men might still post, scroll, or share occasionally, but they do it with purpose. They control how they use it instead of letting it control them. Everything they do has meaning behind it. They don't chase attention, they share value. They don't post to impress. They post to express something real, something thoughtful, something that aligns with who they are. This level of intentionality separates them from the majority because they're not reacting to trends. They're guided by principles. These men see social media as a tool, not a lifestyle. It's a means of connection, not validation. They're not interested in performing for approval or competing in the endless race for attention. When they post, it's because they want to, not because they need to. That simple distinction reveals their strength. They understand the importance of balance, of living more life than they show. They'd rather spend their energy building relationships, working on goals, and experiencing moments fully than capturing everything for an audience. They know that the best parts of life don't always belong online. They belong in memory, in silence, in presence. Being intentional also means setting boundaries. These men don't give the internet access to their emotions, relationships, or vulnerabilities. They protect what's personal and sacred because they value it. They're not afraid to disconnect, to take breaks, or to disappear for a while if it means protecting their peace. They know that real growth often happens in private. Their sense of direction comes from within, not from likes, comments, or algorithms. That's what makes their presence so authentic because it's not curated to please anyone. It's grounded in truth, not performance. Intentional men understand that visibility is not the same as value. You don't have to be seen to be successful. You don't need to broadcast every win to prove your worth. In fact, the quieter you become, the stronger your moves get. They live with this understanding that people who truly have something meaningful to say don't need to shout. Their consistency, discipline, and results speak for them. That's why when they do appear online, their presence feels powerful. It's not constant noise, it's controlled impact. At its core, being intentional with social media is about respect for time, energy, and authenticity. These men respect themselves enough to not seek approval, respect their purpose enough to stay focused, and respect their peace enough to protect it. They're not invisible, they're selective. They choose to live life with direction rather than distraction. And that's what makes them stand out. Because while everyone else is busy trying to be seen, they're quietly becoming someone worth remembering.